So Heather, I feel like people might want to know kind of what to expect when doing a psilocybin session here in Oregon and at Unstuck in particular.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most common questions is like, what does this look like?
Totally.
What does the experience look like? So when a client comes in, they check in the front desk, and we have them sign in and finish any kind of paperwork. Then we bring them back to one of our rooms. We have 4 treatment rooms to choose from, so it's lovely. Show them where the bathroom is. One of our rooms has a private bathroom, which is really fancy. And then we have them come in. We have options in regards to how they can consume the psilocybin. We actually have this set up here to show what the tea looks like. Yeah, do you kind of want to walk us through what the creating the tea looks like?
So, so there are a couple different methods, right? So there is the straight up, you can ingest this mushroom if you would like.
Not very tasty.
Not the super tastiest. Most people would agree. So I think a lot easier method of ingestion, and what sounds to be easier on the stomach too for most people, is doing a tea method. I feel like it's a little bit more ceremonial too, and it brings you a little bit closer to the medicine. So we have our mushrooms. We get ours from Mazama Mushrooms in Eugene, and he does this beautiful job of freeze drying them, which I actually think holds the original property of the mushroom a little better. That's not verified, it's just what I've been finding. And yeah, just really packages it really beautifully. He has a lot of attention to detail, so we really appreciate that.
All of our psilocybin, we are required by Oregon Health Authority to purchase from a licensed manufacturer. So we're not like buying this from the guy behind 7-Eleven, right? Like this is legit, it's lab tested, and on the packaging, it actually has the lab results on here, which is really nice. So you know exactly what you're getting.
Exactly what you're getting. Yeah. And I feel like that's one of the difficulties in the underground sector is knowing exactly what you're getting and if it's safe to consume. And a
little scary.
That can be a little frightening. So open this up, we put it in the grinder, and then all the ground mushrooms will go in the tea strainer, and then pour it over, let that sit for a little while, muddle it all up to get all the good properties out of there, and there's your tea. We have the option to do lemon and honey, one for flavor, but
it tastes a little better. And one of the things that's nice is that the client does all of that. So the client has all of the control over opening the packaging for the psilocybin, making the tea. So the facilitator actually steps back and doesn't actually handle any of this stuff. And so, yeah, it's very client driven, which is really nice.
Brings you closer to the source for sure. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So the psilocybin kicks in pretty quickly, sometimes 5-10 minutes when you consume tea. We also have other options like applesauce. You can grind it up and put in applesauce, peanut butter, or again, eat it raw, which is,
some people like it.
Right?
Some people like it.
Go for it. But yeah, when you consume through the tea, there is very little chance of nausea and upset stomach, which is really nice. And then usually the facilitator will have the client use the restroom one more time, get the space and the room settled in, and comfy blankets and all that good stuff. And then, we have noise canceling headphones. Can you hear me?
No.
And so the noise canceling headphones, and we have eye masks. So the eye masks are personal use, so they go home with you, one-time use only. The noise canceling headphones are lovely. We pipe in a playlist that's specifically designed for psilocybin. But again, it's client driven. So if they don't like a song or a playlist, we can change that up. So we encourage the client to put the headphones on, eye mask on, lay down, and really focus inward, right? So this is not an outward journey. This is an inward journey. And so through the headphones and the eye mask, that really blocks out the external world, right? Because we're not here to really focus on trees or lights, but
as cool as that can be.
Yes, for sure. But
not the point.
We're kind of hoping for this to be a therapeutic journey.
Very much, yeah. And I think all that can be definitely a distractor for sure. And so we've definitely created our space as well to be very neutral so that you don't have a lot of distractors in the external world. And I do feel like that's helped people really stay inward and stay focused on the true purpose. Yeah.
One of the things that we do offer is journaling. And so every client gets a journal. And during the journey, the facilitator can write down anything that the client says out loud. Now, sometimes clients don't say a thing the whole time, and that's totally fine. But if they do say things, sometimes it's really helpful to go back after the journey and look back and are there themes? Are there things that were brought up? Because the magic happens not during the journey itself, but post, right? So in the integration phase, that's when the real magic can happen. And so a lot of clients ask, what happens when you put the eye mask on, the headphones on, and you're laying down here? It's so different for everyone. And everybody has such a unique experience. So it's really hard to say. Some people have a visual experience, some people have no visual experience. But the psilocybin gives you what you need, not necessarily what you want. And so we often start before they even consume the tea or the psilocybin with setting an intention. But, you can probably speak to this too, right? Sometimes you can have the greatest intentions, but you're going to get potentially something else.
For sure. And I think that's a big point, to not be surprised that things might pop up. So I think that we do a really good job of burying things really, really deep inside of us to the point where we might have forgotten that it was even there. And so I'd say one caution to have about having a psilocybin experience is just, are you prepared to face what might come up, whether that be kind of a really dark, negative experience. It could be also a very beautiful light experience, but just kind of being prepared for anything and everything that might surface. And having a support network afterwards, I feel like, is a really huge piece. And you were speaking to integration, and I feel like that is the number one thing that is the most important about this, because while the journey itself can be beautiful, amazing, life-changing, it's fleeting. And unless you do the steps and the work afterwards to integrate your experience, it might be all for nothing. So
For sure. Yeah. We often get asked, what if I have a bad trip? And I always say there's no such thing as a bad trip. Well, there might be out in the real world, right? But here at our center, you might have a challenging journey, but not a bad trip, right? So a challenging journey is where you're confronted by those things, like you said, that we bury down, that are maybe difficult, but often we find that the clients that have a challenging journey, that are really confronted with things, are often the ones that leave saying they got the most out of this, right?
And sometimes not for months later.
Right,
but it
for
comes,
sure.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that was so challenging. But, sometimes I'll hear like, wow, I felt like I came in with a backpack on and I'm leaving that behind. Like, they don't know what they were carrying until they had to go through that. And so as trained facilitators, we're trained to work with people on those challenging experiences. And how do you move through that, right? I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
I think knowing too that every individual experience is going to be so different. And this is why preparation is also a very important piece of this journey, and why it's important to really be with a facilitator that you feel very comfortable with, that you feel supported by, as well as being very comfortable in the setting, in the surroundings that you're having this experience in, because that makes all the difference.
Sure. Set and setting, so
important. And in that preparation piece, you should be getting tips and tricks to really best prepare your body and your mind for this experience. And again, that's going to be very individual for each person. I do want to go back to the journey itself and saying that there is no right way to journey either. So, yes, the whole point is to kind of stay inwards with the eye mask and the headphones. But if your body's telling you need to get up and move around and be on the floor, and by all means, there is no right way to journey. And it's important to express your body as well as your mind in this experience.
Yeah. For sure. And knowing that you're in a safe space that's supportive, where you can do all of those things, right? That you're with a facilitator, you're safe, and you feel comfortable that if you want to get up and move, you can. Or if you want to lay there and sob, you can. Or if you want to laugh hysterically, or all of the above, which is common, right? It can very much fluctuate. And so, I agree. Like, really find a supportive environment. Set and setting is so important. Find a facilitator that you feel a connection to, that you feel safe with. Finding a right space and facilitator that works best for you, where you feel safe and supported, is so important.
Yeah, and so don't be afraid to explore and to try a bunch of different people out and different centers out. See what feels good to you. Ask for tours of the space, just so you get really comfortable with the setting.
Yeah, asking for a tour of the space, or if you can get online and see a tour of the space, take a look at where is it located geographically. Is it located in a really busy space where maybe noise or energetically that might affect your journey? Those are some things to consider.
And on that point too, that's really a good point that after your journey, it's very common to feel very depleted, very energetically drained. And so where are you landing, in that night and in that day after, I think is a very important part too to consider.
Yeah, like you want to be somewhere peaceful, somewhere where you can kind of have a nice, safe space to recover. Because the next day, you might need some time to rest and process everything.
Totally, yeah. And processing can take a while too. So, I feel like don't get discouraged if things don't come right away. I feel like just trust the process, trust your body, and, trust who you're going with this experience too, to